Hi everyone and welcome to my channel S for Shivani. I am Shivani Saxena and I present before you another video in the series Outside Insight. In Outside Insight, I invite the campus, regional, zonal and national level winners of all the important competitions that happen in any B school. Today, we have with us the campus winners of ITC Intro Bank and Flipkart Wired and also the campus runner-up of Tata Steelathon. And this is just one team I'm talking about. Join me in welcoming Atishay Sinha, Saili Janwadkar, and Pujit Popli. Pallavi, who was also a part of the ITC Introbank team, has already featured with us in the video on ABG Head Start. Let's ask them about their approach towards these competitions and discuss their winning strategies with us. So first of all, I want to know that you participated in so many competitions. What was the difference in these competitions? For example, let's say in terms of the format in which they happened, the kind of case studies that you got, or the number of rounds each of them had. So just throw some light on, the format of these three different competitions.
So we'll be discussing about ITC Interrobank first. The format of the competition is that it is when it's launched on every campus, you have to make a team of 4 people, and the initial part involves the launching of the IR case study. Um, it's a little different for the Symbiosis campus, as in it's a direct face-off format between the SIBM Pune and SCMHRD. So in the first rounds, the team have to submit a Word document containing the executive summary for the IR case study, and then the top 5 are selected, out of which the top team from SIBM Pune and the top team from SCMHRD have a direct face-off in the stage round. The top 5 are awarded some prizes, but the final the top 2 teams from each of the campuses compete for the ultimate glory and the grand prize.
Also, talking about the Flipkart Wired and the Tata Steelathon. So, Tata Steelathon follows a simple campus and the national round. In campus round, you're called for there's a case study that's given, and based on the solution, you're called for the campus finalist round. However, the interesting part here is that the operations, marketing, and HR cases are mingled in the Tata Steelathon round. So you can everyone and anyone is competing with each other, and the winner can either be from the operations, from marketing, or from HR. Flipkart Wired is somewhat similar to the ITC Interbank, wherein you have different individually HR, marketing, and supply chain cases. And again, you have the campus round, and once you qualify the campus round, you go to the national round, and once you're selected for the national round, you go for the grand finale.
So when it comes to like let's say the first round of these competitions, like you mentioned, you have to make an executive summary. So what all things do you think have to be included in this so that just by having a glance at your presentation in the form of a one pager or two pager, the person is able to get the gist of what your solution is.
Yeah. So coming to what you should be having in your executive summary. Firstly, understand the problem very well. The problem statements, the case study won't be a very straightforward. It would require a thorough research in IR. You understand what they really want to ask. The perception of the problem, I think we stated initially in a very concise manner, and that worked well for us. Apart from that, whatever models you're suggesting, whatever theories you are using, have them in a presentable infographic manner, not like a bulky paragraph or something. Make the story flow very well, so that the judges are able to see your thought process very well. Apart from that, when we are doing a lot of case study competitions, happens with all of us that we tend to look for hacks, as in we ask our seniors for PPTs, and just we just want to edit the same doc and give it as a solution, and it makes sense because last year the same solution had won. They have the correct format, but sometimes it backfires, as in when it happened in our case as well, that a lot of teams had edited the doc from last year winners and submitted it, but since we had a different point of view and we had created our own set of flow, which it worked well for us.
So after a case is launched and you have the case study in your hand, how do you start going about your research? Do you think that even in HR competitions, going out on the field for visits is required, or is there any different mode of conducting research that you guys follow?
So, talking about the case requirement, especially from the ITC Interbank point of view, one thing that I'll say is research is very important, both primary and secondary research. And again, benchmarking is the differentiator that you have with your competitor. Even for the ITC Interbank, we did a very exhaustive set of benchmarking. We talked to people in the PepsiCo factory, the Balco factory. We talked to people in Bajaj Auto. We talked to people in Nestle. So, trying to understand how the industrial setup work in these sectors, and we diversified our sectors, not just to FMCG, but we moved to automobile, core manufacturing. Now, since it's an HR case, though your end customer is the employee himself, so it's very good if you could go back and talk to some of the blue collared workmen, some of the trade union leaders, so that you get an idea of what are their problems and how can you solve it. We took help of a lot of labor law experts. We took a lot of help from the IR experts and tried to understand as to what are the possible solutions we can bring to the table. Secondary research is often very important, and although for HR it plays a key role, because secondary research comprises of research paper understanding, reading a lot of uh, old research papers, and understanding what all kind of thoughts have been put into the domain that you are currently working on.
Along with the reading, I would say talk to a lot of people. The benchmarking that you do plays a very important role in such a manner that when you talk to various HRs from the factories across FMCGs or any other companies, they tell you how they had done it in their plant when they faced a similar problem. For example, in our case study, when we talked to an ex-employee of Pepsi, our idea of reskilling that we had got validated because he told us that this had been done in their plant already. So we were pretty confident with our solution.
As far as diversity within the team is considered, what did each one of you bring to the table?
When it comes to our skill sets, each one of us brought something very unique to the table. For example, Pujit is amazing with his creatives, and thus he used to handle the entire PowerPoint presentation design and videos and posters if needed. On the other hand, Atishay is a very eloquent speaker, and thus we could count on him to deliver seamlessly on the day of the competition and also take care of any unanticipated questions the judges had for us. As for me, I believe I'm very good at putting content in a precise and organized fashion. So, these were the three skills that each one of us had, which is content, creatives, and presentation. And they really complemented each other, and I guess it really worked good for us.
Very well pointed out. Since you mentioned something about the frameworks that you guys use in secondary research, so would you like to tell our viewers what are the most important HR frameworks that they should be familiar with and should practice them more often, so that when they know that this is a case study which requires implementation of this particular framework, so can you just tell which are these frameworks?
When you talk about frameworks for ITC Interbank, we had a problem related to reskilling and multi-skilling of our workmen so that they can work in multiple lines. Now, this is not just an IR problem, this is also a learning and development problem. So, again, now we broadly understood as to what are the domains that is required in this particular question. It is not just related to trade unions, it's also related to the learning development and capability building initiatives that the company takes. Because again, in order to move your workmen from one line to another, you need to reskill them, you need to multi-skill them, and you need to make flexible. At the same time, you need to have the buy-in of the trade unions, and at the same time, you have to compensate them for any kind of extra hours that they're putting in. And if we are putting in learning and development initiative, what will be the repercussion and how will that learning and development initiative will be deployed? So these were the major questions. So first, taking cue from the learning and development part of it, we started by doing taking up basic framework. So we took up the ADDIE model. ADDIE model is analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. First, you need to analyze the training need. Then you shift to designing the training for them. You develop it, then you implement it, and then you evaluate as to what are the success rate of such training. Now, evaluation has some of the more, if you put in the evaluation part of it, you do have some extra frameworks. You have framework like the Kirkpatrick matrix, you have the Phillips model. So these Kirkpatrick model and Phillips model actually help you in understanding and evaluating the success rate of the training. Now, one more thing that we identified in this case was the change management, because now you are changing the dynamic. So we use the Kurt-Lewin change model. Now that change model was also very effective. So you can read about the Kurt-Lewin model as well. And as a part of your MBA curriculum, you do come across these models, and I think nothing special is done here. Most of it is taken from our academic books and stuff.
Yeah, regarding the frameworks to be used for PPTs, the important thing is that don't stick to just one framework. Have whatever you need in order to solve the problem and customize it to the organization. For example, in Flipkart, we use the McLellan's theory of needs to come up with the Hexa-E framework, which would very clearly sort out each of the problems that they had mentioned in the case study. And also I would say that don't just restrict yourself to HR theories and frameworks. Look for frameworks in the other subjects which might help you. For example, in ITC Interoman, we use the RACI matrix, which is taught in strategic management, to clearly mark out all the responsibilities and who will be reporting to who, and everything that. So that was very well received by the judges, and we received a good comment from them on that also. So,
How do you guys decide the flow of the presentation? Like, is it all right to give out whatever you are going to present in, the next slides in the form of case synopsis? How do you guys break the slides?
Now, some key important pointers for a good PPT is: number one, you have to make it clutter free. Number two, it should have a very clear and very smooth flow. Number three, it should have key pointers, that is the research that you have done, benchmarking. Number four, that it should have your solution very clearly written into it. And number five, you should also make financials in case you need it, because financials is very important. And one more thing which is very important, and something which we did, was illustrations. We illustrated it very well. We used a lot of graphics and stuff, so that we used less number of words and more number of graphics to, very in a very smooth way we wanted to explain our PPT. Now, coming back to the PPT, flow is very important. You need to first give the gist of what you understood out of the case. So a very small abstract is a must. Then you should go to benchmarking. You should put up a lot of effort in benchmarking. You should very, very elucidatively, very clear, very creatively, or in any other way that you want to communicate as to what you are trying, what all kind of benchmarking did you try, and what all were the results. Primary research and secondary research should then go into it, and then you can switch to the idea. After you have put in your idea, you can also put a PPT. Now, this is something which I'll be very cautious with. You can also put some of the drawbacks if you want to, but again, this is not compulsory. If you feel that this can bog you down, then don't put in drawbacks, but you can put some kind of cons also, if as to what are the challenges to the project, the idea that you're implementing. And finally, you can shift to financials. Financials is something which is very vital, because everything and anything that you implement has a cost related to it, and that cost needs to be incurred, and that cost needs to be calculated. So this gives a sense of fulfillment for all the judges. They understand that you have very well dealt with the case, and it's pretty important. I think Pujit can also add to it, because he was one of our PPT experts.
it's important to note that if the budget that you have prepared, you might add a highlight of the screenshot in the PPT and have embed the Excel over there, but do so only if you're very confident of the budget that you have prepared. A lot of teams are asked questions on it, and it might lead to be the factor becoming the differentiator between a winner and a non-winner, because sometimes the teams are not able to explain the various parameters or various things that they've mentioned in the budget, and the judges just love to answer, just love to question you on that.
Okay, so let me ask the last question for this session, which is, according to you, what is that one quality which determines the winner? So maybe you felt there on the stage, or by having a look at the presentation, something that you guys had and you felt that your fellow competitors didn't have.
There were multiple things which we did different than others. So I'll start with the one I think which worked most in our favor. We generated 4 scenarios for the problem statement they had given us, and we gave them a solution, a unique proposition for each of the scenarios. By doing this, we ensured that no matter what problem the case study was referring to, we had a solution for each. Second thing which we did was, while coming down to our answer, we really debated each other's ideas, and that helped us to only put the best of the ideas on the table. Another thing which we did, one day just before the day of the competition, was we actually presented the entire thing in front of few of our batchmates, and asked them for their feedback, which we implemented, and we also told them to ask us questions so that we would be a little bit better prepared for what the judges might ask us.
One thing I feel was different from us and our competitor was the grasp over the PPT. Now, this is very important that everyone in the team knows the PPT in and out, because there are chances wherein the judge can pinpoint you and ask you to answer a question from a part that you did not prepare, or from the part which is not your part. This is something I think we faced in the Flipkart Wired as well, wherein pinpointed questions were asked to my teammates and me, and we had to be thorough with the whole PPT. You cannot say that, sir, I prepared this part of it and he prepared that part of it. This is not acceptable. Another thing that we did different for ITC is that we had a very strong communication and very clear, crystal clear solution to our problem. We took the problem and we solved it head on. We did not blabber around the question. They were asking us X, we were answering it as X, and we were very pinpointed. One more thing that I would say is, always be confident when you go on stage. So confidence can sometimes compensate on any kind of hiccups that you are having, any kind of problems that you are facing. So for every answer, even if we did not know, we would simply say that, sorry sir, I don't think that we have gone through that particular point of view, but what we thought was like this, and we used to very confidently say out everything.
An example I'll give you from ITC Interrobank. We addressed all the questions that they have, but the opposing team from SCM HRD, they received a comment that you didn't answer this particular question, which they wanted the teams to address particularly. So that is one negative point that they got over there. Apart from that, how you build a story around your solution is very important. If you're able to showcase that story, the good solution that you have, then and combine it with all the research and the hard work that you have done, showcase that as well. Consider the company point of view. Why are they having this competition? Why are they conducting this Q&A round? The ultimate aim is to have a suitable employee join their organization when they give them a PPO. In the Q&A round, the aim is not just to analyze your solution or ask about your solution. They also want to judge your skills, your business acumen, if you are able to think on your feet. In order to do that, they might give you a situation in which they say, okay, what would your plan of action be if I tell you this regarding your solution. So keeping in mind that you might be their future employee, so it is very important to handle the Q&A very well. Even if you don't have an amazing PPT, don't be afraid of, don't be just scared. Be confident and do well in the Q&A, and that might win you the competition as well.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining me in this video called Outside Insight and sharing your outside insight with our viewers. I'm sure you gave us a lot of strategies to stick by and follow whenever you're participating in any competition.
Thank you, Shivani, for having us. It was a lot of fun. So everyone, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, please follow Shivani on Twitter, and also please follow me on Twitter.